If you've ever watched Wallace and Gromit and thought, I like this, but what I would like is all the fun and levity sucked out of it, and I want it to give me nightmares. Firstly, what the fuck is wrong with you? We should definitely be friends if that is the case. Two, may I present to you stop motion. This nasty little clay spattered fever dream has been birthed from the twisted mind of Robin King and Robert Morgan. Morgan was a director in the ABCs of Death. He did the Deloused section, and he was also responsible for another claymation fucking monstrosity called The Cat with the Hands. It's on YouTube for free. It goes for about 3.5 minutes. If you want a bad time, feel free to do a heroic dose of edibles and watch that shit. I cannot think of worse fates than that. It's fucking weird. There are some little clay creatures in this movie too that are so disturbing, like the cat with the hands. He has no interest. Morgan has no interest in doing cutesy creatures. He's like, no, everything's fucked. Everything I do, fucked. Um, and yeah, the little clay creatures in this movie are so disturbing, even the good ones. And if they'd been given to me, I'd be like, oh, thanks. I fucking hate them. Um, it's got a lot of this movie's got a lot of cosmic horror influences, and it's all about the obsession and mania of artists, specifically if their skill set is pushing them into a darker direction, like like if you're being pushed into the darkest corners of your chosen art, what does that look like, right? Like, what if you wanted to make Shaun the Sheep, but your skill set kept making sure that you could only make shit like Mad God? Stop motion is sort of about that journey, right? Like, how do you come to grips with that, or how don't you come to grips with that? That is what this movie is about. This is a firm nod to H.P. Lovecraft's Pickman's Model. If you've read that book, it's a good fucking book. It was probably one of the first like obsessed artist horror books. Um, Stop motion follows an animator named Ella Blake, who at the beginning of the film she's like firmly under the thumb of her overbearing mother, who was also like a legend of stop motion animation, named Susan. Um, Susan has arthritis and is unable to animate anymore, so she's sort of taken it upon herself to make Ella's life a living hell through bullying and obsessive perfectionism, and she sort of carves and forces Ella to do her final project. When Susan takes a turn for the worse, Ella picks up the mantle of the film, and basically everyone around her gets to watch her spiral as she gets more and more and more obsessed with finishing this film. Each draft gets more and more fucking disturbing. They get really fucking weird by the end of it, and at some point Ella starts to realize that her creations are sort of taking on a life of their own, and like her mother, they have no fucking interest in letting her live her own life. Now, this movie has so many freaky little guys. If you like freaky little guys, this is your movie. They are real creepy. Even, like I said, even the hero claymation thing is gross and terrifying. I'd want to kill it with fire. Truly, some of the creations they look like they could walk out of Silent Hill or some other JRPG, like a Souls like. They're creepy little bastards, and because they don't act or speak at all, sometimes it's hard to know what their intention is, which actually works for the tension in the film. I don't know what they want from Ella. I don't know if they want to hurt her. Do they want to help her? Do they want to consume? I have no fucking idea. All I know is it's probably bad fucking news, right? The stop and the should go with saying this. The stop motion in this movie is good, which is I'm glad, because if the movie was called Stop Motion and the actual stop motion was shit, it would be very awkward. But Robert Morgan knows what he's doing when it comes to stop motion. He's made a shit ton of it. The scares in this movie don't really come from like jump scares or like particularly fast-paced scenes. They come from like the slow plodding of a creature that is like unrelenting and trying to get at you. Sort of like It Follows or Halloween. It is that slow build-up of tension as things come closer and closer and closer. That is the tension that this movie thrives on. Um, Ashlyn Francosi as Ella did a great job. She's also great in The Nightingale. I should cover that. I fully believe her as an obsessed artist, and you do get to see an interesting side of her when she attends an industry party. I actually just wish there was more of that sort of thing. There's a lot of shots of her in an apartment. I don't know whether this is because that's a low budget film, but I would have liked to have seen her out communicating with the world a bit more than her boyfriend and the little girl that in her apartment building that comes to help her. So while there is a bit of character development, this is a very is it monster or is it mental movie, and the joy, for lack of a better word, is watching her spiral. Right, she slowly descends into madness, and you can clearly see it coming, but you can do fuck all to stop it. That is the purpose of this movie. And of course, the freaky little guys, they're in there. They've been freaky. The Ashman's fucking. They're all creepy. They're all fucked. They're all fucked. There is quite a few scenes of disturbing body horror, which I found wonderfully effective. One with a leg in particular. There was also some quite decent characters to root against. Polly, you fucking idea-stealing hussy. So I liked that. I just wish there was a bit more character development. I wish we knew a bit more about Ella. While the effects and the idea is really solid, and the movie is really creepy with its imagery, the part that stops it from getting to the heights of some of the better films this year is that it leans too hard on the was this real or was it not thing. And I'm okay. I had the same issue with Smile 2, which seems to be mostly a me issue. I don't mind some ambiguity. Even at the final scene, I don't mind. If the ending's ambiguous, I'm like, oh, okay. But when it gets to the stage where I have no idea if anything is real or not, you really have to hook me into the story to get me invested or to give a shit. Otherwise, it's just like a bad trip. I just do what I do when I have a bad dream. When you have a bad dream and you realize you're having a bad dream, so you're just like, this is a dream. I just got to wait till all this shit plays out. Without any real investment, you're just sort of watching things happen. That's sort of how I felt in this movie, because I was like, I don't know if this is real or not, so I don't really care. And I just feel like if they'd done that less, and or maybe even given us more rules or a monster to beat or a problem to solve, then maybe I might have been more invested, because I would have been like, fuck, how do we beat him? How are we going to stop it? That sort of thing. But there was none of that. It's literally just watch this chick go crazy, but also I have no idea if anything's real or not. And that just didn't hook me like I wanted it to. But all in all, if you watch horror for disturbing imagery, weird disturbing shit, stop motion is weird disturbing shit. It's a goldmine for that sort of thing. And any lovers of obsessed artist stories, Laser Fear, Pikmin's Model, that sort of thing, you'll probably get something really good out of this. I know lots of people love it. I did like it a lot. I just didn't it's not in my top 5 or anything. I recommend watching this if you love stop motion horror, Mad God, Coraline, that sort of thing. This is firmly up there with them. It's probably not as disturbing as Mad God now I think about it. It's got a better story than Mad God, because Mad God's sort of just watch what I can do with these freaky little fuckers. This has more story than Mad God, which I liked. If you love obsessed artist movies, definitely go into this one. That is the theme. If you're okay to forego some story substance for a bit of disturbing imagery, if you like watching the videotape from The Ring and that sort of shit, you'll probably like a lot of this movie. I don't recommend watching this if you hate body horror or surgical gore. There's some really good scenes of both of those in this. If you hate monster or mental movies, if you hate guessing whether this is real or not, you will not like this film, because lots of it is based on that. If you like this and you want another horror movie that is about obsessed artists, I highly, highly, highly recommend the 2015 film The Devil's Candy. It's one of my all-time favorite movies by one of my all-time favorite and criminally overlooked directors, Sean Byrne, who also did The Loved Ones. Go see that right now if you haven't. It's about a cool and frankly sexy artist named Jesse Hellman. He's fucking jacked in this. Played by Ethan Embry, who moves his family into a rural house that they got for cheap because, drumroll, a few people died there. Now, I'll also state his family's cool as hell too. They're just like two metalheads trying to raise a teenage goth daughter. That's pretty sick. That's like parenting goals. However, when Jesse starts to paint, he realizes that he can hear whispers and voices, and they cause him to go into like a trance, and he loses time, and he doesn't know where he is, and then by the end of it, he's left with these amazing but really visually disturbing, I'm talking like Saturn eating his son sort of art pieces. And and then things get even crazier when the previous tenant of the house rocks up out of nowhere. It's very good. There are a few reasons to watch this movie, but the big one for me is the soundtrack is awesome. There's so much good fucking metal in there. It is heavy as shit. It's so good. The second is the horror is actually unsettling. Like, it's quite a disturbing film. It disturbed me more than stop motion, I think, just because it's really fucking dark. It doesn't just have dark imagery. The themes are dark as well. And when you realize what's happening, it's also really dark. And the third and the really big one is the performance by Pruitt Taylor Vince is horrific. He is so scary in this. He is so fucking scary. Like The Loved Ones, Sean Byrne manages to get one of the best villain performances of all time in any horror film, and once again, it just goes criminally overlooked. This movie fucking rules. Sean Byrne fucking rules, and Pruitt Taylor Vince fucking rules. Go see The Devil's Candy. It's so good. If you've seen The Devil's Candy, you want another one. Another MonsterVerse mental movie that is about another obsessive artist, Black Swan with Natalie Portman. It's more mainstream, this one, but it's very good, and I think people forget that it is a horror movie. It is 100% like there's body horror in it. It's a psychological thriller. It's really good. It's about her journey into the cutthroat world of ballet and the mental implications of having your appearance and worth constantly assailed by peers and mentors like every day of your fucking life. The body horror is really good. Specifically, it's very like bone breaky. If you like Huisera, the Bone Woman, it's that sort of body horror. And the aesthetics and acting are they're like top tier. It is just a beautiful film. It is really, really good. Sometimes I think we forget it because, Natalie Portman's in it, and it's like people are like, oh, that's like an art house drama. It is a psychological horror for sure. I'll always wave the flag for that Black Swan being a horror. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another review. Once again, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to follow along. We've only got a couple of days left of Spooktober, and I've got a bunch of reviews to get out before then. So, if you want to see some good shit coming, hit the fucking bell and subscribe, alright? Peace.